Hello. Good evening. Boy. I mean, look. that was not an enjoyable football game to watch. That Lions-Steelers game. We're going to talk about it. That was one of the more miserable football games I've ever seen, I think. I mean, there was just it was terrible. It was terrible. Like, I mean, honestly, you get to the point where you're going to be able to, you've got yourself in position to win. You got yourself in position to win. And they just, I mean, every opportunity they had. And look, here's the thing, is us Lions fans, we complain all the time. We don't ever get the calls. The referees are all against us. There's a grand conspiracy. Well, in overtime, they got the calls. The referees weren't against them. They got the calls that they needed. And still couldn't win the football game. So it's unfortunate. It really is. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to sort through it, figure it out. Because that was just, it was abysmal. It was just a stinker. A complete unraveling of a football team. I mean, it was really something. So unfortunately, Lions remain winless on the year. They're now 0-8-1. I mean, might as well be 0-9. Doesn't do you any good. And you're going up against a team with their backup quarterback, going against a team where, TJ Watt's going to be out for an extended period of time. And still, and I'm going to break it down for you a little later on, because when you look at this box score and you look at these possessions towards the end of the fourth quarter and then into overtime, it was really bad. It was really rough. Good to have you with us. If you guys want to get involved, obviously you can do it here. You can throw it in the chat, or you can give us a call, 800-859-0957. And certainly I'll be able to get all of your input in on this one. Also going to be talking about Michigan State. We're going to talk about the Pistons. Is it time to hit the panic button? There's going to be a lot of ebbs and flows in this season. So we'll try to break it all down for you here on Sportswrap. Stay with
Artemis 1 unmanned mission. Even with all of NASA's high tech, the agency still uses stuffed animals.
So, Chris, I sent you the live read. We got to do it twice. We got to do it at the first break and the third break.
Breaking anything or accidentally hitting a button.
And it's the second one. It's the NBA one on there.
I'm Mary Corsetti, and this is Fox
Is it the
News.
same one both times?
Yeah.
Okay.
WJR traffic and weather first.
Westbound Local 96, the earlier crash after Schaefer Highway has cleared, all lanes open and traffic is now moving freely. Also on the westbound side of 94, the earlier crash that was near Mount Elliott has cleared. However, some stop and go traffic does remain between Mount Elliott and 75 due to drivers trying to get off before they hit that construction closure. Both directions of 94 between 96 and 75 will be shut down for the rest of the day and into tomorrow morning at 5 as construction continues there. I'm Will Hatzel, WJR traffic and weather first.
Any rain and snow coming to an end with clearing later. We'll slide back to 32. Monday, we'll call it partly sunny, hit the low 40s. Monday night, maybe some flurries or light snow showers, and then we'll call it partly sunny Tuesday. From the Weather Channel, I'm Jeff Eno on News Talk 760 WJR.
From the Golden Tower of the Fisher Building, you're hearing the great voice of the Great Lakes. News Talk 760 WJR. It's time for Sports Wrap on 760 WJR.
All right, this is the wrap on 760 WJR.
To a car phone we go. Dave, thanks for hanging on. You're on 760.
Gentlemen, and Steve and Dan, you got the chemistry. It's cooking.
Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win.
Are you calling us from your office?
I'm doing SportsCenter tonight with
really?
Dan Patrick.
Well,
Yes.
I'm very impressed. By the way, give Dan our best. He's a good man. And
I will. Hey, Dan, Chuck Swirsky says hi. This is the best sports wrap has ever been, in my opinion.
Now, here's your host, Chris Renwick.
What did we just watch? Look, in the pecking order, in the Mount Rushmore, in some of the craziest Lions games that we've seen, this has got to be up there. It's got to be up there. That was a really painful watch. And not painful in the sense that the Lions, took a gut punch towards the end of the game, like, against Minnesota or against, Baltimore this year, where last-second field goals, an NFL record, knocks them down. It wasn't like that. It wasn't a win being snatched away. It wasn't like that. This was just a this was just a bad football game. This was a bad football team playing against another really not very good football team when you consider that Ben Roethlisberger was out of that game. Lions now 0-8-1. To say that this thing is just not right is an understatement. Chris Renwick here with you, by the way, here on Sportswrap tonight on WJR. Look, it's tough because being a Lions fan, look, I don't need to tell you, you've been through it. You've been dealing with it for your whole life. But this game was not like games of yesteryear. This game was not like games in the past where you look at the referees and you say, how are you making that call? And then, of course, as an organization, we anticipate hearing from the league and hearing how the referees screwed up a call towards the end of the game that inevitably ended up costing Detroit an opportunity to win. That's how this thing goes. Historically, that's been the case. That was not the case today. Down the stretch, as you got into overtime, Jared Goff throws an interception. Oh, don't worry, defensive holding against Devin Bush, the former Michigan linebacker. A roughing the passer call on Pittsburgh. That gives the Lions extra yardage. And then Ryan Santos, who missed an extra point early on, which certainly could have been, really was the difference here in this 16-16 tie. But then he missed a 48-yard field goal. And look, Jason, could you have kicked a better field goal?
I think so.
Was there a better effort there to have been had?
Possibly, yes. Just by closing my eyes and just kicking it as hard as I can.
I mean, it was like a knuckleball. And it wasn't tipped. There was no deflection at the line of scrimmage. No, nothing. It was just a poorly kicked football. And I get it. Santos was signed late. You got an injured kicker, and you got to bring somebody in. All affairs, love is war. But my goodness, that was brutal. That was brutal. And in a case where at halftime, after 2 quarters of football, at halftime, Jared Goff had 11 passing yards. You heard that right. 11. You just can't have it. Jared Goff today, 14 for 25 for 114 yards. He had 113 yards over the last 2 quarters of that football game. That's still not acceptable. Sacked 4 times today. Taylor Decker has not looked good since he's been back. DeAndre Swift, meanwhile, after carrying the ball 33 times, racked up 130 yards. Still averaging less than 4 yards a carry, though. So I think you got to put that into perspective. Look, here's the deal. Lions weren't able to hold a lead in the fourth quarter, no matter how slim it was. They were up by 3 in the fourth quarter. And Pittsburgh was they were sloppy. They were sloppy. They gave you every opportunity to win that football game, and they couldn't. And then the Lions, in overtime, they win the coin toss. They elect to receive. They're trying to put this thing away. They needed a trip to the end zone. Game would have been over. Started out nice, 30-yard pass from Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown. It just look, at the end of the day, this thing was a stinker for both of these teams. Was a stinker. And you look at how that overtime stanza went. Let me take you back to the fourth quarter, really into that second half. Here are the consecutive. I'm gonna take you through the whole from quarter 3 all the way through overtime, just to give you an idea of what a stinker this thing was. Lions come out in 6 plays, 85 yards. They score a touchdown. They go up 6-0 out of the break. Then Pittsburgh answers with a field goal in their next possession. 13 plays later, they cut into Detroit's lead, 16-13. Then, listen to this: punt, field goal for Pittsburgh. They tie it up at 16. Then punt, end of game. Overtime, Lions punt, Pittsburgh fumbles, Lions miss the field goal, Pittsburgh punts, Detroit punts, Pittsburgh fumbles. It was real. Look, it's not a good product right now. This team is in a rebuild, but these kinds of games just can't happen. Just can't happen. And I think you saw Dan Campbell on the sidelines. There was a little added frustration there today, I think. Little added frustration today. Because, again, you feel like where you should have gotten a win earlier this season, you didn't. Feels like at this point, that should have been one you should have been able to have. And you just couldn't. 800-859-0957, 800-859-0WJR. That's the number for you to call or text. Coming up next, I want to hit on this Pistons situation because I have a very simple question. Like, I told you pre-draft, Cade's the guy. You get Cade in here, and you stack it with some of the talent that's been there, some of the young talent that's there, the future pieces of this organization. I was really excited about that. Really excited about that prospect. They haven't been very good. So we're going to figure that out. Also, we're going to talk about Michigan State coming up. A lot more to do here on Sportswrap on WJR. Don't go away.
As seen on Fox 2 News.
Have you been told you need spine
surgery? All right, I'll come to you in about 50 seconds for the live read.
The Disc Institute has a proven, painless alternative. If your neck, back, or sciatic pain is due to a herniated, degenerative, or bulging disc, then you actually have 2 problems. 1, your pain, and 2, your bad disc. Drugs, therapies, epidurals, and new pain lasers are designed to only treat your pain, but they're not designed to treat your disc problem. And this is crucial because your bad disc is what's causing your pain in the first place. Without addressing your disc problem, your problem will get worse, which can ultimately lead to surgery. At the Disc Institute, we have a proven solution to solve both of your problems, your pain and the bad disc that's causing it, with our high-tech, non-invasive treatments. This is what can stop your pain without surgery. Call me at the Disc Institute at 586-416-DISC. That's 586-416-3472. We'll even review your MRI for no charge. Call 586-416-DISC. Reclaim your life.
Look, I'm a big fan of the NBA, have been for a very long time. And now the NBA celebrating their 75th anniversary season. And if you want to get in the mix, if you want to celebrate too, join me, will you, on FanDuel Sportsbook? Because right now, new customers can place your first bet risk-free. And if you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back. Did you hear me? If you don't win for your first bet for you new customers, you get up to $1,000 back. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, now is the time to give it a shot. Look, you wanted to put a little action on player props. They're there for you. You want to build a same game parlay. Love it. It's one of my favorite bets. You can turn a little bet into a lot. I love betting the money line or the over-under, point totals. It's all there. It's why I love betting on FanDuel. It's why, quite frankly, I've turned my friends onto FanDuel too. And look, everything is easy to use. This is the bottom line. They're always giving you great promotions. And when you win, your money get paid in 2 hours. There's nobody doing that. And look, you want to bet on the NBA? You do it on FanDuel Sportsbook. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app, sign up, use my promo code Renwick to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 and make every moment a slam dunk this season. Again, that's promo code Renwick.
21 and older and present in Michigan. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help.
Imagine a world without pepperoni. Ugh. Okay, enough of that. Now imagine layer on layer of pepperoni. That's Hungry Howie's new Pepperoni Duo. Our fresh-made dough and 100% real mozzarella cheese topped with traditional pepperoni and a layer of our new classic cupped pepperoni for layer upon layer of flavor on flavor. For a limited time, just $10.99. Don't just imagine yourself enjoying one. Come get one soon. Hungry Howie's!
Stacking Benjamins with Joe and his good friend OG not only has great financial insight, it's laid out with humor too.
All I remember about the early days of Bitcoin, I remember just completely trashing it. What a moron I was.
All you had to do was just put $1,000 in it way back when.
Had I known.
And the phone number now would go, we're sorry, the number you've called is no longer in service.
Yes, no podcast today because you can't podcast from a private island.
Stacking Benjamins. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're tired of big cable bills and want to cut the cord, you can still get Newsmax TV for free. Millions of Americans like you are watching Newsmax. It's available on all major cable systems, or get it free on major streaming platforms. Watch Newsmax on smart TVs like Samsung, LG, Vizio, and more. Find Newsmax on your hub guide or use the TV app. Newsmax also streams free on Roku, Zumo, Pluto, Amazon Fire, TiVo, Apple TV, Chromecast, and more. More than 7 million people have downloaded the free Newsmax app on their smartphones. There's no paywall or subscription, so watch Newsmax anytime, anywhere. Forbes calls Newsmax a news powerhouse. And watch great shows with Mike Huckabee, Greg Kelly, Rob Schmidt, Diamond and Silk, Stinchfield, and a lot more. Find out why America is tuning in to Newsmax TV, the fastest growing cable news channel. It's a source you can trust. Newsmax is real news for real people.
Now back to more Sports Wrap. Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win. Here's Chris Renwick.
You know, to say that I was excited about the Cade McNamara pick is probably an understatement. Cade Cunningham pick. I'm very, very excited. And I really kind of looked at it as kind of the springboard into the next phase of where this organization is and where they inevitably want to go. And to me, it made a lot of sense. Thought he was the best player in the draft. And I think, to put some sort of label on the kid now is not fair. But I think you look at the other guys on this team, particularly the Killian Hayes, Jeremy Grant, Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart. I anticipated them to take another step this year. I don't know that we've seen that yet. And look, it's still very early in the season. So Rod Beard, Detroit News, Pistons beat writer. Look, I think we come to you for sane, rational Pistons discussions here. And look, I'm panicking a little bit. I expected a little more. I know we're early in the season. But where do you view this team at? Are you a little disappointed? Do you think where they're at? Where are you at with this?
Well, it's funny because that's what I wrote about for tomorrow in the paper, is that This is going to be a slow process. This isn't a just add water, Kool-Aid sort of thing that people came with expectations of Cade Cunningham, like he would come in and start averaging 20, 25, 30 points right off the bat. And I think the Pistons' tack on this has just been, he's the piece that we need, that he's going to make the other guys better, that he's the solid shooter that you need, that he's the facilitator that you need. Not that he needs to be the point guard 100% of the time. He just needs to be able to handle the ball and take some of the pressure off Killian Hayes. And I think we're starting to see more consistent flashes of that the shooting is there, that the ball handling is there, that the vision is there, and that he can score. I mean, down the stretch, they had a double-digit lead against the Raptors last night, and they almost gave it away, but he had 2 big drives in the last 2 minutes that helped them to put it away. But he's not going to be your cowboy that rides in on the horse. That's still Jeremy Grant, but he's going to provide a lot of the things that they haven't had for the past couple of years.
Well, what's the deal with Jeremy Grant this year? He's off to a particularly slow start considering kind of the season that he had last year.
Yeah, I think he's trying to find his way with everything else, and other teams look at that. When you remember the beginning of last year, teams looked and said, "Oh, okay, well, Blake Griffin is there, Derrick Rose is there. We can we have to spread out what we're doing." Now they can look at Jeremy Grant and say, "Hey, this is our main guy. He's the 1A in the scouting report of guys that you have to stop." And now you got to figure out ways to integrate everybody else in that and take some of that pressure off of him. And so I think that's some of the pressure that he's starting to feel, is that he's that focal point of everything that they're trying to do. So defenses are gearing particularly toward him, and now the other guys have got to find their spots within that too. And look, shots just haven't been falling for anybody at all. If they made 2 or 3 more threes a game, it changes the complexion of some of these games, at least in how they look in the first half. Instead of these being 20-point games, they might be 10-point games, and there's still something to play for in the second half.
How impactful was Cade's absence in the offseason due to injury? How do you feel like that set the team back as they approach the regular season, or do you feel like, this team had enough chemistry at the end of last year where they should have been able to kind of pick up the mantle until Cade got around?
I think it's a little bit of both, that they've been the worst shooting team in the league, but the other side of that is they've had the most open shots. They've gotten the looks that they've wanted. The shots just haven't fallen. And the proof of that is Killian Hayes is their best three-point shooter. Killian Hayes was a 29% three-point shooter last year, and now he's getting a little bit better at it. He's not probably taking as many as he had, but without Cade, again, setting guys up, facilitating the offense, you had, what's he played in, 5 or 6 games?
Right.
You've had, or 7 or 8, he's played in a couple more. They've had to figure out ways to generate offense, and they've tried Josh Jackson at starting shooting guard, Frank Jackson, Hamidou Diallo. They've tried everything they can to jumpstart this offense, and it just hasn't been there for them. So it's just going to be a case of them slowly coming around and figuring it out. So they're not quite as bad as they were against Cleveland the other night, but they're not quite as good maybe as they were against Toronto last night. The answer is somewhere in the middle of all that. But I think Water's going to find its level, and they're going to become a better shooting team, but not a 40-50% shooting team from threes.
Yeah, I think part of the issue here too, and you would know, you're there, you obviously have your ear to the ground, but they're 3-9, last place in the division. Look, they're just not very good right now. They're trying to figure this thing out. They're trying to get some shots to fall, but at the same time, you can't let this linger, because you got to kick it into gear. You got to get to a place to where you can start winning games consistently. And when you're losing at the clip that they are, it can be especially debilitating. What's been the vibe at the building there? What's been the vibe amongst the team and Coach Casey and all the things that they're dealing with? Are they upbeat? Are they feeling bad for themselves? Where are they at?
Well, I think they know that it's not good. They didn't have a good start. And after that Cleveland game on Friday, they said they had a team meeting on Saturday morning before the Toronto game, where they just kind of said, hey, who are we going to be? What's our identity? Are we just going to be a team that comes out and gets run off the court by 20 and that's okay? Or are we going to have some fight about us and some swag about us and say, we're going to come out here and compete, even if we lose 50 games like they did last year, they're going to lose them with some pride about them and go out and fight. And we haven't seen that in some of the games this year. They played Brooklyn really close. They played the Bucks. And so the schedule is part of this 3-9 start, certainly part of it, that they've only had two kind of losing teams that you thought, hey, these are going to be bad teams. These are games they should win. They ended up beating Orlando and Houston, and the surprise was last night against Toronto. But you look at the rest of their schedule, you've got your Milwaukees, you got your Atlantas and Chicagos. These are teams that are going to be in the playoffs this year. And so it's going to balance out, I think, once the schedule does a little bit more and they play some bad teams. They got Sacramento tomorrow night. So that'll be able to tell you a little bit more about what this team really is. But you're not going to expect them to go out and win in Chicago, win against Milwaukee. That's just not going to happen at the stage where they are right now.
Yeah, look, I think it's a good point. And I think that, those like me who are a little bit antsy here, who are a little bit nervous that this thing hasn't played out exactly how I thought it would. I think, look, season's long. There are only 12 games in. Got a lot of basketball left to play. Cade's very young. The core of this team is very young. And please, for my sanity, tell me everything's going to be all right, Rod. Will you please?
Well, it depends. It depends on what your all right is. If you're saying all right is they're going to make the playoffs and try to run for the 10 seed, I can't tell you that. But
I need marketable improvement here. I need some gelling. I need to see the core of what we thought this team was going to be. I need to see some marketable improvement there. And I think, obviously the game against Toronto, that's a big step in that direction.
Yeah, I think Isaiah Stewart was a big piece last night. He had 20 points, tied his career high. Killian Hayes was probably the biggest breakthrough of that. That's the type of game that you want from him. 13 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists. And he was playing with a hurt thumb too. So being able to play through that injury was big for him. Cade kind of tweaked his ankle last night too, played through that. And again, people don't go into Toronto and just win like that. Toronto's a much improved team. And Scotty Barnes looks like one of the best rookies in this class. He was the 4th pick. And Cade didn't play well. As well as they played last night, Cade only had like 10 points. So that tells you the other pieces around him are playing better when he doesn't have to do a lot. For me, I don't look for Cade to score 20, 25 points. I think that's a little bit much. For him, you look at maybe 16, 18 points, 4 or 5 assists, and 4 or 5 rebounds. I think that's more realistic as what you want from him this year. And I think on social media and the way that people talk about it, they want him to be 20, 25 points. Yeah. And that's just not what he does well. I think you look at in those last 2 minutes, those 2 baskets, he's a guy who can go get you a bucket when you need a bucket, but it doesn't have to be in sheer volume every time. And I think people just have to reset expectations of what they're looking for. Killian Hayes is not going to be a 15, 20 point guy. He's going to be more like 10 or 12 and 6 or 7 assists, and you're okay with that. You should be okay with that.
Yeah. Rod Beard, always good stuff, my friend. Nice talking with you. Thank you. I appreciate the time as always.
Anytime. Thank you, Chris.
All right, there he is, Rod Beard over at the Detroit News. All right, coming up next, we're going to break down this Michigan State thing yesterday. Both teams with big wins. Both teams staying in the hunt. That's the important thing. They're in the hunt. Now it's a 2-game season. And for Michigan and Michigan State, very different opponents this week, very different talent level in opponents this week, but nonetheless, both equally as important. We'll talk about that next. Coming up here on Sportswrap, Chris Renwick on WJR. Don't go anywhere.
Don't miss the Trading Group show this Saturday at 5 p.m. on WJR. Learn how you can earn a full-time income working from home as a short-term trader. Our proven system has helped thousands of people achieve financial freedom, and there's no prior experience needed. For information, call 888-646-8787. That's 888-646-8787, or listen to the Trading Group show this Saturday at 5. Again this holiday season, News Talk 760 WJR is dedicating our annual Christmas on Us campaign to celebrate our extraordinary Michigan military, first responders, frontline workers, and their families. WJR's Christmas on Us honors 5 special families and rewards them with gifts, spending cash, and more. Join us. Visit WJR.com to nominate a deserving military member, first responder, or frontline worker. WJR's Christmas on Us is brought to you in part by Kearns Brothers, Michigan Center for Fertility and Women's Health, Treetops Resort, and Warren Consolidated Schools. As seen on Fox 2 News.
Have you been told you need spine surgery or just sick of living in pain? The Disc Institute has a proven, painless alternative. If your neck, back, or sciatic pain is due to a herniated, degenerative, or bulging disc, then you actually have two problems. One, your pain, and two, your bad disc. Drugs, therapies, epidurals, and new pain lasers are designed to only treat your pain, but they're not designed to treat your disc problem. And this is crucial because your bad disc is what's causing your pain in the first place. Without addressing your disc problem, your problem will get worse, which can ultimately lead to surgery. At the Disc Institute, we have a proven solution to solve both of your problems, your pain and the bad disc that's causing it, with our high-tech, non-invasive treatments. This is what can stop your pain without surgery. Call me at the Disc Institute at 586-416-DISC. That's 586-416-3472. We'll even review your MRI for no charge. Call 586-416-DISC. Reclaim your life.
Pro W here. Thanksgiving is around the corner, but not everyone in Metro Detroit is celebrating. Thousands of children, seniors, and families will struggle to put food on the table. WJR and the Chilani Family Foundation have launched Hunger Free in the D, a 3-week matching gift campaign to support the Capuchin Soup Kitchen and Gleaners Community Food Bank to provide 500,000 meals to struggling families during the holidays.
The Chilani Family Foundation was started with my wife and I thinking about our children and making sure that they're engaged in the community. There's a lot of other people in Detroit that really don't know how to give.
Now, as we all prepare for Thanksgiving, let's make a difference for those less fortunate. This is Paul Van Oss. I'm the business manager for the Electrical Workers IBEW Local 58, proud supporter of Hunger Free in the D.
Join us to help out. Visit hungerfreeinthed.com or call 855-315-FOOD. That's 855-315-3663.
Hi, break time? I know you. I'm Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. It seems like you take care of yourself.
I do. I play tennis. I try to eat well.
What about screening for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. Colon cancer is more treatable when it's caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and is used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%?
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit requestcologuard.com.
I'm on it.
Excellent.
Now back to more Sports Wrap. Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win. Here's Chris Renwick.
All right, I want to start with Michigan State. As both schools win yesterday, both schools taking a step up in the AP top 25. They continued to be joined at the hip. Michigan State checking in at number 7. They were 8 last week. Michigan sitting at number 8. They were 9 last week. So both teams moving one notch up in the AP poll. And obviously the AP poll means less now as we're into the college football playoff rankings. We'll talk about that in a second. Michigan State with big win over Maryland, 40-21. I think when you look back at that Purdue game, just whatever it was, a week ago, the secondary got exposed. And that has been the real issue in this team all year. All year. We've talked about it almost every week here on Sportswrap. But they came back against a team that throws the football pretty well. And, they still racked up a decent number of yards. And Maryland threw for 350 yards. But with that being said, the defense did enough. They did enough. They got exposed at points in that game, but they did enough. They were at least, they didn't get 40 hung on them like they did last week against Purdue. So right off the top, that's an improvement. And offensively, you see a lot of the same guys that have been making plays week in and week out for this team over the course of this season, stepping up again. Jaden Reed, Peyton Thorne, Kenny Walker. Those are the guys. Monterey Foster also scored early for the Spartans to put him on the board. But here's the deal. Now you've got Ohio State. Jason, has there been a kickoff time announced for that game yet? I haven't seen.
Yeah, that'll be at noon.
It's a noon game.
Yep.
All right. So you've got Michigan State, Ohio State, noon from the shoe. That's good for the Spartans. I don't think you want a night game at Ohio State. I was a little worried that they were going to pop that one at night. So look, this is it. This is it for Michigan State. They control their own destiny. There's only two of the top three dogs in the Big Ten East that control their own destiny. It's Michigan State and it's Ohio State. And I think I would have a little bit more I'd have a little bit more hope if this game was in East Lansing. But, I think this is going to be a rough one for Michigan State coming up this weekend against OSU. But look, improved secondary, which is going to have to take another step this week. It's going to have to get better. It's going to have to be the best that it has been all year. You're going to need to play arguably a flawless football game. Arguably. You're going to have to play dang near perfect. Because offensively, this team is they're just loaded for bear. And no, I don't think Ohio State is untouchable. This is not the same Ohio State team that they have been in recent years. So this team can be beat, but you're going to need the same cast of characters who have been coming through all season. You're going to need them now. Now is the big time. You need Peyton Thorne to throw the football at a high level. You're going to need Jaden Reed to catch every football that's thrown at him, and you're going to need Kenneth Walker to rush for as many yards as humanly possible. You do those things, and you got a shot. But this is a tough spot to be in for Michigan State. But this is the spot you want to be in. This is the spot you've been dying to be back in, and you're there. For Michigan, there was, I think a moment in that Nebraska game where I'm sitting there down late and they got to drive the length of the field to score a touchdown to take the lead. And they did. And I remember thinking about midway through that drive, I'm just having flashbacks to 2016 at Kinnick Stadium when Michigan lost that last second field goal to Iowa and really threw their Big Ten championship trip hopes alive. It just killed them. Killed them. You win that football game, and remember, then you go down to Ohio State, and that was the J.T. Barrett poorly spotted fourth down run, and you lose that game. It didn't matter. You were going anyway. It was an irrelevant game if you won that game at Kinnick, which they lost. And so I had flashbacks to that watching that Nebraska game. But Michigan came through. They won. It's a big-time win at a hostile environment at night against a team that has nothing to lose. Nebraska had nothing to lose. Their season was over. They started off abysmal. They made really one of the best 180s I've ever seen mid-season in college football history. Truthfully, they were a completely different team than they were at the start of the year, their first couple games, by the time they played Michigan. And I was like, oh my goodness, they're going to lose this football game. But they won. It's a big step. Michigan going to Madison, winning at Camp Randall, big deal. That's a game they lose. They won. You should have held on to beat Michigan State, up 16 midway through the third quarter. But this Penn State game was another one of those items on the litmus test to figure out where this team is at. And I think they're the legit deal. Like, they're a real contender here. I believe that. And I've been skeptical over the last couple of weeks on Michigan. But I think they've shown in this game against a Penn State team that has been, started the year with sky-high expectations, a top 5 ranked team at some point, and then they just got knocked down. That loss against Iowa was demoralizing only because Sean Clifford got hurt, and they weren't the same. Then you lose to Illinois in 9 overtimes. That just can't happen if you're Penn State. And then, you get housed by Ohio State, which no harm in that. But I think that when you look at the chemical makeup of that Penn State game, you look at Hassan Haskins and just the absolute workload that he put on his back with, guys like Corum out. That's a championship mentality. You look at Eric All, ankle sprain a couple of weeks ago. He's been banged up. He hasn't been right. He comes out and catches the winning field goal at the end of the game, 46 yards. This team is a little different. You've got legit rush edgers along that defensive line in David Ajabo and Aiden Hutchinson. You've got a legit back end at your safety spot with Brad Hawkins and Dax Hill. Your linebackers are good. You rotate them a lot, and they're good. And Ross is a legit linebacker. So I think that the mentality that this team has, and look, hey, Cade McNamara, good on you. This is another good, solid game managing performance by Cade. He ain't going to win the Heisman. He's not putting up hundreds and hundreds of yards week in and week out, but Cade continues to just manage the offense. And I know a lot of fans and specifically football-minded people say, "Oh, they hate the term, game manager. It's demeaning to a quarterback." Not in this case. Not in this case. Cade protects the football. He puts him in good spots, and more often than not, he executes. So, look, there's a lot to be excited about if you're Michigan. There's just a lot to be excited about if you're a fan of either of these teams. All right, I'll tell you what. We'll take a break, come back. We got Gridiron, the Gridiron Wrap coming up next. Sean Belegian, Bill Keenest. I wonder what they're going to talk about today. We'll ask our buddy Sean Belegian coming up next. All that and more on Sports Wrap coming up here. Chris Renwick on WJR. Don't go anywhere.
This is Jeff Morton.
All right, 1 minute, we'll do the live read again.
When I see someone in pain, I can't fight the urge. I have to talk to them about how easily they could get relief. I tell them how our FDA-cleared high-intensity, high-dose lasers, exclusively available at pain-free life centers in Troy, have already given people relief with no pills, no injections, and no surgery. I let them know that chances are good we gave relief that day to someone dealing with the very same issue they have. I explain to them how our lasers work with the body, allowing it to heal naturally. I tell them at Pain-Free Life Centers, we're so confident in what we do, their consultation and first treatment are totally free. And finally, I tell them the truth. They have nothing to lose but their pain. When I see them in the office a few days later, they all wish they would have come in sooner. So you can either talk to me in the middle of a store or you can call me the pain guy. But call Pain-Free Life Centers in Troy right now at 248-879-1100 or visit painfreelifecenters.com. Talk to you soon.
Look, I'm a big NBA fan. Love me some NBA basketball. And the NBA is celebrating their 75th season this year. And if you want to celebrate right, you do it on FanDuel Sportsbook with me. And if you're new to FanDuel, maybe you're looking to dip your toes into the water. New customers right now, you place your first bet risk-free. And if you don't win, you get up to $1,000 back. This is the time to give FanDuel a shot. You want to put some action down on the money line or the over-under, you do it. It's there for you. You want to put it down on the point spread. Maybe factor in a player's point total or rebounds. It's all there for you. I like the same game parlays for me personally. But look, there are so many options for you, and it's why I bet on FanDuel Sportsbook. It's why I've turned my friends on to FanDuel too. Everything's easy to use. Plus, they're always giving you great odds boosts and special promotions. And when you win, you get paid in 2 hours. Believe me, there's no better place to bet on the NBA than with FanDuel. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel app today. Sign up. Use my promo code Renwick to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000 and make every moment more special this NBA season. Again, reminder, promo code Renwick so they know I sent you.
21 and older and present in Michigan. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply.
Hi, Sean.
Sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help.
What's all the buzz about nasal irrigation and Navage?
Sean, I've never seen a game like
Here's
that.
the sign.
No, I've
Airborne
never seen a
germs
game like
get
that.
to your nose.
The level of
Somebody's air
ineptitude
filter
for both
trapping
teams, I've never
allergens
seen
and
anything
viruses.
like it.
When your nose gets clogged, it's
it
less
was
effective
so-
and germs multiply.
It was so
Eventually, your immune system can get
painful.
overwhelmed and you get sick. Nasal irrigation is an effective, all-natural way to clean your nose. It's not a drug. It's more like plumbing. Saline goes in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out mucus and germs. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage to make cleaning your nose easy. It's the world's only nose cleaner with powered suction. Navage pulls out the bad stuff so you can breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and feel healthier. At Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, Bed Bath, and Walmart. Or go to Navage.com for a free gift with purchase. Over 2 million sold. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
Now back to more Sports Wrap. Presented by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sports app today. FanDuel, more ways to win. Here's Chris Renwick.
All right, go home, NFL. You're drunk. You're drunk. Take an Advil. Chug a bottle of water. You'll feel better in the morning. What is this? What's going on today in the NFL? The Panthers at one point were up 31-0 over the Cardinals. Arizona trying to claw their way back in. It's 31-10 with 8:40 to go in the fourth quarter. Vikings on top of the Chargers 27-17. Eagles over the Broncos 27-13. The Packers at home with Aaron Rodgers back. They are into fourth quarter action, about 5 minutes gone in the fourth quarter. They can only lead the Seahawks 3-0. Aaron Rodgers 20-35, 235, and a pick today. Dallas beats Atlanta 43-3. Tennessee beats New Orleans 23-21. Colts on top of the Jags 23-17. And of course, Sean Baligian, that wonderful game that we needed to watch today, apparently.
Chris,
16 Lions, Steelers. What, can you explain to me what that was?
I'm not joking. I've never seen mutual ineptitude like we saw today. I'm not being funny. I'm not taking shots. That was mutual ineptitude. So often we're left to talk about the Lions doing Lion things, but both of them today, nobody wanted to win. I've never seen ineptitude like that. I hate those big, grandiose overstatements. I think it's become just cliche in sports talk radio. But, Chris, honestly, I've never seen a level of mutual ineptitude like I saw today.
I did this earlier, but I wanted to do it with you because when you say it, when you see it, it makes it a whole lot worse. I want to take you back to the start of the third quarter, coming out of halftime. Do you want to know what these possessions were coming out of halftime? Here is what we looked at. Detroit started with the ball. They went 85 yards on 6 plays, scored a touchdown. They went up 16-10. Next possession for Pittsburgh, 13 plays, 69 yards. They capped it off with a field goal with 16-13. Then Detroit punt, Steeler punt, Detroit punt, Steeler field goal, tied it up at 16. Then punt, end of game. You go into overtime. Detroit gets the ball first after winning the coin toss. Punt, Pittsburgh fumble, missed field goal, Detroit, punt, Pittsburgh, punt, Detroit, fumble, Pittsburgh. I don't know what to make of that. Like, and you got to give credit to that defense, at least down the stretch. And in particular, I'm drawing a blank of who it was. Mark Gilbert, the backup corner. He got beat by Deontay Johnson, and it looked like this was going to be it. They were going to be well within field goal position. The Steelers were going to be able to put it away. Gilbert, who just got torched, stays with the play and then able to punch the ball out of Deontay Johnson's hands to force the fumble, and then Flowers hops on top of it. It was just, and Sean, here's the other part in all of this is we've seen so many games where the Lions have, you get a bad call and you say, you expect a call from the league, admitting that there was an issue with the officiating. The Lions got all those calls down the stretch there in overtime, and they still couldn't capitalize.
Jared Goff had 114 yards passing. I mean, Chris, in 70 minutes of football,
he had 11 yards at halftime.
You can't make this stuff. Did you see Dan Campbell's quote after the game?
I didn't see it. We were here. I was getting ready.
He said, "I'm in a twilight zone. I don't know what this is." Yeah. Yep. I mean that says it all. It, so often, Chris, we love our team, right? We love our team. We have a job to do, but we love our team, and you have to report accordingly. Sometimes when you're watching a game, you get so frustrated you can't speak. Today was one of those days where I'm not being funny. I was laughing. I mean, it was that overtime. I've never seen anything like that. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I had the jaw open quite a bit today, and it wasn't like a Justin Tucker, NFL record field goal of 66 yards kind of jaw drop. It was just like, this is an NFL football game. This is the highest level of football. and this is the product that's on the field.
It was amazing because, I heard all the talk in Pittsburgh this week was they were actually afraid, especially like with the Lions coming off the bye. Well, what if? And then when it was announced Ben was out, then people were really worried. Oh no, now I understand why.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, and listen, it wasn't just the Lions. Let me make that crystal clear. As you so eloquently stated, the Steelers were every bit equally as dreadful. I mean, they really were. The ineptitude, I'm going to say it, the mutual ineptitude was something to behold. It really was.
Big dubs for Michigan and Michigan State this weekend. I mean, that's an understatement of the century, but Michigan State obviously took care of business. The secondary tightened up a little bit. It's going to need to be better even next week. So good on Mel Tucker, good on the Spartans for getting that thing right after a disappointing loss at Purdue. And then Michigan, they hung with it. And that's a tough place to play in Happy Valley, but stuck with it. And these teams now are setting up for quite a 2-game stretch.
Yeah, two of the best wide receivers in all of college football next week. You got to be terrified if you're a Spartan fan. And James Franklin is going to James Franklin, man. Never, ever apologize for a W. Both teams win.
Nope. What do you guys got coming up?
Yeah, well, obviously we're going to talk a lot about the Lions game, talk about what happened over the weekend, not only in the MHSAA, but certainly in college football, some of those games, and look ahead to what should be, as you mentioned, a great finish to this Big Ten season.
All right, there it is. Sean Belegian, Bill Keenis coming up next. You're not going to want to go anywhere. Sports Wrap will return next Saturday, hopefully with a couple of big-time wins for our football teams here in this state. We'll talk to you then.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish.